Hello board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another gigantic episode that's definitely going to keep me up all night editing, so don't forget to smash that like button because each like is equivalent to 1 free hour of sleep. Let's not waste any time, let's get to the Kickstarters. And the first game we have launches on the 21st, and it's called Bamboo Bash. This plays 2 to 8 players and takes about 15 minutes to play. And this is a Jenga-style dexterity game where players are competing to collect the most bamboo bark. This game is set up by stacking cylindrical bamboo stems that have plastic bamboo bark on the outside of them. And then you place a cute panda cub on top. On a player's turn, they can use a fake panda paw on a stick to attempt to smack the bamboo bark off the center of the bamboo stems, and players gain points for having the most bark pieces at the end of the game. Some of these pieces have a number of leaves depicted on them, and the player with the most leaves who did not knock off the panda gets bonus points. All players who knock off center stems will lose points, and the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. And the next campaign launches on the 22nd, and this is the Roman Roll Gladiators expansion. And this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 1 to 2 hours to play. And Roman Roll is a heavy roll and write where players compete to craft an empire. Players will draft from a pool of dice to collect resources and construct the town and organize their armies. In this expansion, it's up to each player to build their ludus, where gladiators can be trained in one of the 2 competing schools, and arenas where they can practice. You'll assign gladiators to the Colosseum to fight while you work behind the scenes, gaining the favor of advisors who can offer enticing rewards for those willing to pay for their loyalty. This expansion also introduces a new Colosseum sideboard, gladiator dice, new shared advisors, and several new cards to further your empire. This expansion also adds a 5th asymmetric character class, a retired gladiator who has earned their freedom and can call in favors with his old masters to get ahead. Also on the 22nd, we have Cakes, and this feeds 2 to 4 players and takes about 15 to 20 minutes to eat. And this is a dexterity game where players are going to be stacking cake layers on their hand following certain conditions that are applicable to them. The game ends when at least one of the following conditions is fulfilled. A player stacks their cake 10 layers high and rings the included bell without it collapsing, or the order deck runs out of cards. In that case, players tally up their points, and the player with the most points wins the game. In the case of a tie, the tied players share the victory. The next campaign on the 22nd is called CULTivate, and this plays 2 to 5 players and takes about 20 to 50 minutes to play. And CULTivate is a card-driven pattern building game where players play as cult leaders, competing to fill their compound with followers and carry out their agenda. The more members you recruit, the more powers you will unlock. Rival cult leaders may try to sabotage each other or convert the other cult followers over to their side. All this activity may garner unwanted attention from pesky investigators who try to get in your way. This game ends when a player's board is full, points are tallied from the cult members gained, and the agenda is completed. The player with the most points wins. The next campaign we have launches on the 23rd, and it's called Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. And this is a solitary game that plays over a 4-chapter campaign where Batman will be trying to survive one final gauntlet of villains, old and new, and even his most powerful ally, Superman. This story takes place in an alternate future where Bruce Wayne has retired from being Batman for several years. Some of you might wonder why Batman would ever retire, and there seems to be a couple reasons for this. The retirement coincided with Batman's sidekick and close friend Jason Todd, otherwise known as Robin, being brutally killed by Joker. On top of that, Congress had pushed forward efforts to outlaw the Justice League and other superheroes in general. Superman saw this effort as the will of the people and vowed to stop any superheroes who broke this treaty. In this game, you get to play as the middle-aged Batman who's been pulled back from retirement into a deteriorating Gotham. The game plays over 4 books, each book lasting 4 rounds, and each round is split into 2 halves. In the first half, you get to strategically pick your favorite fight and detective cards, which grant you unique abilities to prepare you for future battles and navigating Gotham. You'll want to be strategic with these because each of these cards that you don't select has a unique event that becomes part of the event deck, and which will have negative consequences that trigger each turn. In the second half of each round, Batman and his allies will take to the streets of Gotham to push back against mutants, riots, press, and the cops trying to bring you down. After each round, you'll be able to draw directly on the board to create a new pathway between locations and to help you make your way towards locations with possible leads. Find enough clues and you'll learn the location of the boss, and then all you have to do is take down that boss in order to complete the book. This game can be played in standalone missions or as one epic playthrough where the results of each mission carry over to the next. This has legacy elements but uses a whiteboard marker, so there's no permanent alterations to the game, and the game features a variable setup providing unique resources and challenges each time you play. This game has minis, but there will be a standee version of the game, which makes me really happy to see, as it makes it more accessible for players who want to experience Batman without the added cost. The deluxe edition will come with a premium box with a magnetic clasp and slipcase, as well as some really nice minis that do a great job of holding true to Frank Miller's original artwork. The box art actually looks amazing on both versions, so if you are the type of gamer with a growing shelf of shame, at least this will sit on your shelf with style as it waits for you to play. The artwork in the game also looks great, featuring actual art from Frank Miller and the comics. Both versions also come with these really cool Batarang dice, which are both thematic and kind of silly, and therefore I love them. This game is designed by Daryl Andrews and Morgan Donteville, which between them have designed games like Sagrada, Bosque, and Scorched Earth. Daryl Andrews as well has been very active in the board game community and the board game design community, appearing on many panels and donating his time to help other designers help develop their games. I'd actually started designing a game long before I was known in this community and way before I started the channel, and Daryl was one of the first designers to give me feedback, and it was really great feedback. I've learned a lot from experienced designers like these, and I can definitely see why Daryl is one of the best. Unfortunately, I've never met Morgan, so if you're watching this, I'm sorry that I don't have as much to say about your work. But for all you other viewers out there, if you're a fan of Batman or you're a fan of these designers' past work, definitely check this one out. I'll leave links to the campaign in the description below. Next on the 23rd, we have Dawn on Titan, which plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 30 minutes to play. In this game, you play as the head of a corporation exploring and exploiting the moons and asteroids in the outer parts of the solar system. Players will compete for resources and use gravity of the planets to strike their enemies and take control of space. Grow your fleet of spaceships by building mines and factories, and win the game by building the combination of structures that your company requires. Also on the 23rd, we have Candy Wars, and this is a game for 1 to 4 players where players are controlling gnomes trying to fulfill their objectives and defeat their goblin enemies. The game features minis that traverse a 3D map, and players will be using dice and special weapon and utility cards to power up their moves and fight off their enemies. Players will also be using this to gain advantage over their fellow gnomes. I don't have too much more info on this one, but it's supposed to be a fast-paced family game that can be played both cooperatively and competitively. Also on the 23rd, we have Chamber of Wonders, which plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play. In this game, players will build their own Chamber of Wonders, which is a small room filled with weird artifacts and natural wonders from all around the world that you find from auction houses, shady dealers, and various shops. Chamber of Wonders offers a dynamic setup where the set of rules that will be used in each game is defined by the setup and can be different each time you play. Mechanisms can be added or removed from the game either by using defined setups or by completely randomizing the game board yourself. The game features mechanisms like action drafting, bidding, set collection, variable setup, and worker placement. This game is being released by Ludus Magnus, who seems to make some nice looking games, but I'm personally not a huge fan of right now because they have consistently added hidden charges to backers during shipping on past campaigns, which basically means holding your pledge hostage until you pay up. Mistakes happen, and I do believe in second chances, but they've done this a few times now, so I just need to see them do better than that in the future to win back my trust before I back anything from them. But if this sounds interesting to you, the campaign link is in the description below. And on the other side of that coin, our next campaign is from a publisher that has amazed me with how they've treated their backers in the past, and this is for the Root Marauders expansion by Leader Games. This campaign is launching on the 23rd, and the game takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play, and Root is a cute asymmetrical area control fantasy war game. Each player plays by their own set of rules and goals depending on the faction that they control. The Marauders expansion introduces 2 new factions in the form of rats and badgers. The first is ruled by the Lords of the Hundreds, and he rules over vast hordes of warriors interested only in domination. He can light fires which spread through the woods, destroying buildings of the other factions. This faction also gains strength with crafted items plundered from other players. The second faction is the Keepers in Iron, and they're here to recover the lost relics of an ancient civilization. The Keepers work to establish way stations across the woodland and form alliances with other factions in hopes of recovering their relics more quickly. They will frequently find themselves behind enemy territories, but luckily their superior armor helps them survive. This expansion also includes a new setup draft system, as well as the Hirelings expansion, which adds small factions that can be used to introduce new power combinations, as well as a chess-like tension to lower player counts. And next we have Finding Anastasia, also releasing on the 23rd, and this plays 4 to 8 players and takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a deduction murder mystery party game where one player is the Empress attempting to locate and rescue Anastasia, while the rest of the players are guests with secret objectives and roles, one of which is Anastasia herself. To find Anastasia, the players must ask questions of each other. The responses are marked on a central board for all players to see. By listening to the answers and by exchanging hint and clue cards with each other, players will be able to deduce who is and isn't Anastasia. As questions are answered, gems are given to players which can be used on a player's turn to perform extra actions such as gaining clues, revealing roles, or asking additional questions. The game continues until Anastasia is found or a role ability causes the game to end. In most cases, this occurs by someone either rescuing or eliminating Anastasia, so you can never be so sure of who can be trusted. Also on the 23rd, we have Tiny Turbo Cars, which plays 2 to 4 players and takes 30 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a programmable movement racing game. At the start of the game, players will use their handheld controller to complete a sliding puzzle that will program the actions of their car throughout the race. Different icons on the puzzle will correspond to different actions, so you'll want to create a sequence that you think will get you the best outcome for the given map. Players will want to complete their puzzle quickly because the first player to put down their controller will be the first to move their car during the race. When the race begins, players will perform the sequence of actions that they programmed in order to cross the finish line. Obstacles, other cars, and vehicle-mounted weapons will ensure lots of chaos, and the first player that makes it across the finish line wins the game. If you sign up to be notified on their website before the campaign launches, you'll also get a free time machine car when you back this on Kickstarter. Next on the 23rd, we have Business as Usual, and this plays 3 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. Business as Usual is a strategic Eurogame that incorporates aspects of trading, bidding, voting for policy change, and cutting deals to benefit your business as players compete for wealth and power. Players will grow their businesses through purchases, upgrades, and mergers while selecting industries and locations that are strategic to shifting economies. Completing objectives earns respect and gains control. Purchase influencers and bid on lobbyists to ensure that the economy runs to your liking. Everything in this game is tradable and bribery is encouraged, so feel free to form and break alliances as you please. Also on the 23rd, we have a very interesting campaign called Crafting Arzium, and this is not a board game, but a documentary feature film following the board game designer Ryan Lockett and his wife Mallory as they work to develop their next big project. Together they run Red Raven Games and have already created games like Sleeping Gods, Above and Below, and Near and Far. I believe Arzium refers to the world that most of these games take place in. I'm not sure what to expect, but this is very different from what we normally see regarding board games on Kickstarter, so it's neat to see, and I like the variety. And the next campaign we have is Ragnarocks on the 23rd, which plays 2 players and takes 15 to 30 minutes to play. And this is an area control game from the creator of Santorini, where players are Viking clans using runestones to mark their territories. On a player's turn, they move one of their Vikings any number of spaces in a straight line and summon a runestone along that path. Whenever summoning a runestone creates an enclosed area of Vikings, that area becomes settled, and when all Vikings have settled, the player who controls the most territory wins. If you sign up on their website for their newsletter before the Kickstarter, you can get 2 promo cards free with your pledge. And next on the 23rd, we have Mr. Meeple's Accessories for Board Gamers Season 3. And I'm not going to say too much on this one, but this will be a campaign dedicated to all sorts of gear and accessories like socks, pillows, jewelry, and face masks. On the 23rd, we also have Crimson Company, the digital version, and the Wildwood Tales expansion. This plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 10 to 30 minutes to play. In Crimson Company, 2 players are going to assemble armies, merchants, and mythical creatures to battle for victory. The goal is to conquer 2 of the 3 castles in the center of the board by amassing more strength than your opponent in that castle's lane by the time that lane is scored. The Wildwood Tales expansion adds a new set of mythical creatures and also includes a 5-card set of vanilla cards without effects to make it easier to introduce new players to the game. And for the 13th campaign launching on the 23rd, we have Tiny Epic Dungeons, which plays 1 to 4 players and takes 30 to 60 minutes to play. In Tiny Epic Dungeons, players control a band of heroes exploring a dungeon in search of the dungeon boss. Heroes make their way through the dungeon 1 room at a time, facing off different monsters and traps around every corner. The game is played over 2 acts, the dungeon and the dungeon boss. In both acts, players are constantly struggling against the firelight of their torch as they gather loot and spells, and the torch degrades each turn, and if it goes out, the heroes are forever lost in darkness forever. If the boss is reached, each boss has a unique ability and a lair with a unique environment that gives various advantages and disadvantages to the heroes. These bosses cannot be slain by weapons alone. Instead, ritual rooms around the dungeon must be used to lower the monster's magical bond to the dungeon. Lure the boss to these rooms to lower their defenses and allow the heroes to strike that final blow. Next on the 23rd, we have Wutaki, and this is a middleweight worker placement game that plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And Wutaki is a village in danger. A nearby volcano is about to erupt, threatening all the creatures of the village. In this volcano lives a giant monster whom the villagers view as a god and believe that they have angered, which has caused so much activity in the volcano. Each player is a tribe leader in the town of Wutaki who controls one of the elements: water, fire, earth, or wind. The element you control will grant some advantages or disadvantages in the game and will also dictate the objective cards available to you. Objective cards are known as packs and gain you new powers and victory points. There are 3 different types of workers in a tribe, which can be placed to perform actions, gather limited resources, or recruit more workers. A player can sacrifice resources to the monster to gain victory points or spend them for upgrades. Alternatively, a player can reject the monster as a god and forge a new path up the Pyramid of Doom, gaining victory points and ending the game through chaos and destruction if you reach the top. But the chaos doesn't end there, because players will also be earning omen cards that grant powers and abilities to help yourself or harm your opponents. This game ends when a player reaches 100 points or reaches the top of the Pyramid of Doom. Bonus points are tallied and the player with the most points wins the game. This game offers some very whimsical art with some silly looking creatures, which I'm a huge fan of because I like to see the different art style and I just like silly things in general. And also this one's going to be my pick of the week. And the reason I'm picking this is because there's essentially 2 reasons that a game should ever be on Kickstarter. Either it's an indie project that needs funding to get off the ground, which was the original intent of Kickstarter, or it's a campaign offering a deluxe experience at a higher price and bigger box that retailers are not interested in investing extra money and shelf space to. And this game actually falls into both of these categories, and it's refreshing to see a team of only 2 people, I might add, who are using Kickstarter appropriately amongst all these other giant publishers that make campaigns that really make no sense to be here and offer no justifiable reason not to just buy those games in retail. And although this campaign is offering a more expensive deluxified experience, they're also offering a base pledge so that people who just want to experience the game can do so without the cost being a huge blocker for them. Also, I've seen both pledges and they're both very good prices. I do want to mention that indie designers going straight to Kickstarter does have its risks for backers. This is because big publishers vet and test games, essentially acting as a filter to filter out bad games, which is good because it raises that bar of quality and good game design overall. Kickstarter, on the other hand, allows designers to essentially bypass a publisher and therefore bypassing this filter. And this is why playtesting your game and asking your players to leave ratings on BoardGameGeek is so important, which this team has done. There are some great comments and ratings there, and the game is also offered on Tabletopia, and the rules will be right on the campaign page if you want to see more or learn for yourself. This team is doing everything that they should be doing to make a game that's fun and to give you confidence in backing their campaign. So if you're watching this video, I really appreciate the work that you've done here. For everyone else, go in the description below, find this campaign, and click that notify button on Kickstarter. This campaign checks off all the boxes, and this is one that I highly recommend taking a look at. And next on the 23rd, we have Orconomics 2nd Edition, which plays 2 to 5 players and takes 25 to 40 minutes to play. In this game, players are competing to build companies in different industries by bidding for locations and placing tokens out on a circular board. Each industry has an associated number with it, and dice are rolled at the start of a round, and the industry with a value matching these dice gets activated, along with its 2 adjacent industries paying out or incurring costs to all players with companies in that industry. This new version makes some really nice improvements in my opinion. The victory condition is changed by the introduction of a new quest system. Each established company grants a point on the victory track, but players can also compete in quests to gain points, so there's multiple paths to victory, and the player that gets to 11 points first wins the game. This game also now has a modular board, so the adjacent companies will differ each time you play, adding more variety to your games. Industry abilities have been completely reworked, and players can use cards to activate these and manipulate the game in their favor. These cards also have a second ability to form a startup company that will eventually become a fully established company. This campaign is also going to offer some very cool deluxe orc company buildings to replace the tokens that you would normally be putting out on the board. The price on this one's going to be very reasonable as well, so definitely check this one out and hit that notify button if it interests you. I just want to take a second here and mention that if you like this sort of content and you want to support the channel, there's a few ways you can do that. I do this all for free for publishers, so any support really helps. The free way is to smash that like and subscribe button and to watch these videos, because YouTube takes that information and uses it to help more people find this channel. If you're willing to make a donation, I do have Patreon, and that comes with some really nice perks like entries for giveaways every week, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And if you want to help the channel while still getting something nice for yourself, definitely check out kickstartergames.com, because they have a wide selection of games, and any sales made there, a small percentage will come back and help this channel. Kickstartergames.com also buys and resells games, so if you're looking to downsize your collection, definitely reach out to them because they can help you out. Since they resell games, this also means that they occasionally offer Kickstarter deluxe versions of the games, so check back on their website frequently so you don't miss out on any of those. They also do a monthly giveaway, and every month it's been a really nice game, and all you have to do to get entered in that is sign up to their newsletter. So I definitely recommend checking out their website and signing up to that so you get entered in all the upcoming giveaways. And now on the 25th, we have Robinson Crusoe, the Book of Adventures expansion. And Robinson Crusoe is a difficult cooperative survival game that plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 120 minutes to play. And players are shipwrecked on an island and faced with challenges of building a shelter, finding food, fighting wild beasts, and protecting themselves from changing weather. It uses mechanisms like action selection, dice rolling, narrative choices, tile placement, worker placement, and variable player powers. Robinson Crusoe, the Book of Adventures brings a host of new Robinson Crusoe scenarios ranked by their level of difficulty, complexity, and theme, suited for every audience, whether you're playing with children for a fun family experience, or living out your masochistic dreams, suffering the pains of really heavy scenarios for experienced players only. And finally, for the 21st game in this video, please smash that like button because it gives me power to do this. Skyline Express is a game for 1 to 4 players, and it takes 30 to 60 minutes to play. In this game, players are aspiring managers for the first aerial train. To gain the role, you must have the most victory points after 3 rounds. You'll gain points by managing your carriage the best that you can by properly placing passengers from the waiting area into the carriages. You'll then be offering them services and paying attention to their individual needs and preferences. The game uses familiar mechanisms such as pattern building, set collection, tile placement, and action selection, and there are 6 types of passengers indicated by their color, and the players will want to match these colors together to maximize their points. And that's it for campaigns, but don't leave yet because we have a ton of giveaways this week, and these are the easiest contests to enter because all you have to do is leave a comment down below. And the first giveaway we have is for a deluxe pledge for Stroganov. And this is a beautiful Euro game where players are Russian merchants traveling Siberia by horse, visiting villagers, building yurts, buying fields, and trading furs. This was my pick of the week last week, and I have only been more impressed since the campaign launched. This game looks incredible, and the deluxe edition also comes with metal coins, custom meeples, and an insert, which is incredible value in my opinion. To enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag Russia and let us know if you've backed anything this year. For me, I actually backed quite a lot. I backed the Castles of Mad King Ludwig Collector's Edition, May Show, Primal, reluctantly. That really wasn't great value. The Make 100 Fantasy Maps Location campaign, and Darwin's Journey. And this is actually quite a lot for me because I usually try to stick to about 1 back per month. And the next giveaway we have is for Bandada, which is a campaign that I had actually overlooked in my previous video, but the creator was kind enough to still donate a copy. That's really cool of them, so be sure to check out their campaign in the description below. And in this game, players compete to create the best portfolio by traveling to different locations to photograph birds from across the world. Players will take the best pictures by attracting birds with their favorite types of food. Players do this by using the 12 food dice and playing cards that have an action and a scoring method listed on them. The scoring method is going to grant points based on the configuration of the 12 dice, and the action allows players to manipulate those dice in their favor. This looks like a great little filler game that's quick to learn, but still offers some really good decisions with those multi-purpose cards. And if you're interested in a solo experience, there's also scenarios provided for that as well. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with your favorite bird. For me, I'm actually going to go with a specific bird rather than a species because my first pet was actually a budgie. Somehow I managed to catch him outside and he was not a tame bird by any means. He must have escaped from somewhere because budgies do not survive in Canada. And he was appropriately named Tweeter. And the next giveaway we have is for Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. And this is a quick asymmetric tile placement hidden roles game where each character wins differently. The mouse is trying to get the cheese, the cat is trying to get the mouse, and the cheese just wants everyone to get along, while the cucumber is evil and wants to trap all the characters together in the map forever. On your turn, you pick a room from the conveyor belt and add it to the maze. Your placement may cause other rooms to rotate and force characters to move. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with your cheesiest joke. And unrelated to this, I was actually thinking about going on a diet, but I just have too much on my plate right now. And the next giveaway we have is for the City of Crowns expansion for the Paladins of the West Kingdom. And this is a competitive game where players are building up their empire through gaining strength, faith, and influence, all while fighting out the threats of outsiders. This expansion adds diplomacy and negotiation to the game, as you can win the favor of powerful allies to help you establish your empire. And last week we ran a giveaway on the Discord for Darwin's Journey, and it was a huge success, so I'm going to do the same for this one. All you have to do is join the Discord in the description below, skim the rules quick, and click that die to gain access, and then just click the emoji on the giveaway channel to enter. And the fifth and final giveaway this week is for Block and Key. And this is a strategy game where players are placing 3D clay blocks onto a centralized playing area. The challenge is made more interesting as each player is limited to their 2D viewpoint to complete their objective cards. Each turn, players may either draw new blocks from the supply or place one new block into the shared space. The first player to complete enough request cards triggers the end of the game, and the player with the most points wins. This giveaway will also be handled on the Discord, so head over there and win some awesome prizes. This has been a really long video, so I'm just going to quickly draw the winner for last week's contest and put it on the screen now. This giveaway was for the award-winning solo game Maquis, the 2nd edition, which is on Kickstarter now. If you won, congratulations, and please email me at adam@shelfclutter.com or private message me on the Discord, and we'll get that pledge all sorted out. And that's all for this week. Until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.